welcome back to another college video. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about the stats that you need to get into Stanford, how your stats might compare to the admitted students who have gotten in my year and previous years, and also I'll be sharing my own statistics. If you guys want, you can follow me on Instagram right here if you want to keep up with my life before I go to Stanford, which is not until September. Feel free to DM me any personal questions you have. If you need any advice or anything, I'm always open, totally happy to help. So first, before we get into it, let's do a little bit of a reality check. For my class, which is the class of 2022, Stanford received 47,450 applicants. And now out of that number, 2,040 of those students were admitted, and 750 of those were accepted early action or in December. Now that brings the acceptance rate to about a 4.3, which I think this year was the lowest in the nation, so yeah. So when you're looking at how to compare your scores to the scores of people who got in, you want to be looking at the middle 50% range. And basically what that means is that 25% of the people who were admitted into Stanford got above this range, and then 25% of the people got below it. Let me just pull out my laptop. Stanford's middle 50% for the math section on the SAT is a 700 to 780. And the evidence-based reading and writing is 690 to 760. And Stanford's middle 50% for their ACT is a 32 to a 35, and that was for last year before I applied, which was the class of 2021. So you're going to be looking at whatever the statistics were for the previous year. Now, once you're in this middle 50 range, you're kind of like in the ballpark. Like now you're able to play the application game, and you kind of make yourself into where you need to be in order to get in. So honestly, it doesn't really matter the difference between a 32 or a 33 or a 34, and I know a lot of people might think that, like you might think, oh, I have a 32 but I need to really raise it up or I'm not going to be able to get in. Your scores are not going to be the thing that is going to get you into Stanford. There's a certain standard that Stanford holds and a lot of other top schools hold. So to me, once you're already in that standard, which is the middle 50%, you're basically good to go, and you should spend the majority of your time focusing on other things such as your extracurriculars, your activities, and your essays, because those things are really going to be important. So for my personal statistics, I received a 1480 on the SAT the last time that I took it in the middle of my junior year. And then shortly after that, I took the ACT and got a 33. I only took the ACT one time, and my goal was to get a 33 because since their middle 50 is a 32 to a 35, I was just thinking, you know, I don't want to be on the lower end of the middle 50, which if you are, like, that's still totally fine. My personal goal was just that I wanted to get a 33, and once I get that, I'm never taking the ACT again because I have more important things to be focusing on. There are a lot of study tools that you can use online. I personally prefer doing like physical copy, like book work, like practice work. I got the Princeton Review like book thing, and it has like a little bit less than 1,500 questions. So I completed that entire book all on my own. I had like a couple tutoring sessions. Definitely don't feel like you have to spend all this money. If you're smart and you're applying to Stanford, then you have the ability to succeed on a standardized test without spending a ton of money to get there. Honestly, I know you guys might be thinking that 33, that's not that high. Honestly, I'm not the best standardized test taker, and I just feel like it's crazy. All these people just whip out like 35s and 36s, like perfect scores all across the board, but you don't have to get that in order to get in. It's not a deciding factor. Like, if you're able to get a perfect score, that is totally awesome, but that's not something that you need to beat yourself up about and work, like, so hard, like, endlessly, like, doing all these practices, taking the ACT, like, time and time after again. I cannot say this enough. The difference between a 32 and a 33 is literally, like, slim to nothing. And I know a lot of kids, they just don't believe that. They're like, no, like, that, how, like, what do you mean? Like, that's like saying, like, a 97 is the same as an 87 on a test, but it's not. It's so different. Standardized testing, that doesn't show really who you're going to be on campus. They just want you to meet the caliber, and once you meet it, then they want to know everything else about you. Think about it. They're only accepting 2,000 out of, like, 47,000, right? So that means that 45,000 people are not able to get in. The majority of those 47,000 applicants are amazing students, the best in their class, like great extracurriculars, a lot of leadership positions. So the thing that's going to set you apart is not going to be a tiny number. yes, you do have to meet that certain standard of that test score, but don't feel like you need to have a perfect score in order to make yourself competitive in the applicant pool. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about SAT subject tests. So it's kind of becoming a little weird in my opinion. I personally don't think that SAT subject tests are necessary for every single school. So maybe a school like UPenn or, Johns Hopkins or something to where you're applying to a specific kind of major or school. So at Penn, you have to apply to a specific school. At Stanford, you do not. So, if I was applying to Penn in engineering, then maybe subject tests, that would be a little bit more relevant to my application and have a little bit more value. And on the Penn website, it says for engineering, they recommend, I believe it's like a math and a science subject test. For Stanford, they genuinely, it's not that they don't care, but I went to like one of those presentations where an admissions officer comes and speaks to you in your area. So I went to one in Dallas, and she said that they genuinely like don't care if you don't have it. So it's more of just like one more thing to add to your application. Kind of like how, I'm president of Math National Honor Society, as I mentioned, is something else. That adds to my application just like adding one subject test would. It's not something that like everybody needs to have. Like everyone has to take the ACT or the SAT. That's required. You have to have that. If I knew that it wouldn't take me that much time to just go in there and ace the biology SAT subject test because that's like a subject I'm really passionate about, then absolutely go ahead and take it. But if you are not really feeling like you want to spend all this extra time studying, for these subject tests, then don't. I personally took no subject test, which is kind of an unpopular opinion. It's a little bit weird. For the specific schools that I was applying to in like my top schools, me and also my family, we didn't feel that it was something that was completely necessary. This is up to you. If you want to take subject tests, absolutely do it, but don't feel like you really have to in order to get in. I know a lot of people, some of my classmates or my future classmates, who also didn't take subject tests, or maybe took them, didn't do very well, and then just decided not to send them, that it wasn't something that was relevant to their application. Once again, Stanford's only admitting such a small percentage of their applicant pool. It's going to be a lot more that sets you apart than just one of your numbers that makes up your stats. My advice to you would be definitely just whatever school you're applying to, maybe it's not Stanford, see if for the major that you've selected that you want to apply into, if they recommend that you take subject tests. Definitely if they recommend it, then I think that you should take it. But for Stanford specifically, I don't feel, and also that's kind of what I was getting from the admissions officer whenever she was talking about it and was asked about it, for Stanford specifically, because they don't ask you to apply into a specific major, I don't think that it's that necessary or that it matters like that much. In comparison to another school, it might. Every school is different. Definitely look into the specific school that you're interested in to see how important it may or may not be. If you don't take subject tests, they're not going to discount your application or look down upon you, and it's not going to be something that's missing from your application per se. The thing that's going to get you into Stanford is something that's unique about you that makes you a special piece of the Stanford puzzle that they're trying to create in their head when they're trying to build the class. And it's, not every single person's going to have an 800 in chemistry on the SAT subject test or 800 on math too. Those things are super awesome, but don't stress out about it, and definitely don't take time away from pursuing your passions in life and working on your essays, because those things are so much more important and are definitely going to be the things that get you in. Now we're going to go into talking a little bit about GPA and rank. So most of Stanford applicants are probably going to be all A students, but again, you don't have to beat yourself up in school if you got 1B, because every school is different. The difficulty level at one school will not be the same as in another school, and they take that into serious account. GPA is never something that I personally worried about in high school. I knew that I was really hardworking and that I was striving for all A's, but it's nothing that I would beat myself up about, and I wouldn't go to teachers and beg for higher grades and all of that stuff, because once again, though that would have just wasted time and taken away time from things that I really loved doing in my life. which are ultimately the things that are going to get you in. I had a weighted GPA of a 4.3 when I applied to Stanford, and an unweighted GPA of like a 3.9, which is weird because I never got a B in high school, but I don't know, my school did it weird, so it was like a 3.9. And I was ranked 9 out of 225 whenever I applied to Stanford. So once again, those are kind of just things that are kind of just brushed to the back. Like, everyone's going to have those things. Most people are going to have a 4.0 or close to a 4.0. And I'm sure probably the majority of you watching this, if you're applying to a top school, then you probably just have those grades. So it's just one of those things that they expect and everyone's going to have. But again, the thing that's going to get you in is not going to be that, because it has to be the things that make you stand out from everyone else. So once you meet the standard, you know, you have all A's, close to all A's, maybe you have a few more B's if you go to a harder school. Those things are totally okay. As far as rank goes, I personally don't think it matters at all. A rank is comparing you to the other students in your school. So if you go to a private school that has a lot of gifted and talented kids who are like super smart, then maybe you're going to be lower ranked. But you might be higher ranked at a school that maybe doesn't have as many AP classes or things like that. So it's hard to compare each Stanford student's rank when none of them go to the same school. It's not something that I ever worried about in high school. I wasn't like a rank climber. Like, I honestly I worked hard in school and I ended up being number 9, and that was awesome. Now, when you're trying to decide which test you should take, the SAT or the ACT, it genuinely like does not matter. I chose to take both just to kind of see which one that I would be better at. I took the SAT a total of 4 times. One was in like 7th grade for like just like one of those like talent shirts things that some universities do, and then I took it once the summer before my sophomore year, once the summer before my junior year, and then once during my junior year. I really started to like get serious about studying for standardized testing probably right at the end of my sophomore year. So I like did a lot of prep that entire summer in preparation to take the test in my junior year. So I did a lot of preparation in that summer and then also throughout my junior year. And the ACT that I ended up submitting was, I took it like right after school got out at the end of junior year. So started studying that summer, and I suggest you start studying earlier as well, especially if you're not sure which kind of test you want to take. I wasn't really better at one or the other. A 1480 is a little bit lower than a 33. A 1480 is probably more like a 32, but again, like, they're still so close. Like, it didn't really matter. So I just chose to submit the 33 because in my eyes it was a little bit higher. Kind of depending on which converter you use, it could be different. Okay guys, I really hope that helped and maybe answered some of your questions regarding standardized testing, GPA, different statistics, and things like that. As always, best of luck on your college application journey. Love you guys so much. Give this video a like if you liked it. Comment anything you want about college or not about college, things you'd like to see from me next. Subscribe to my channel if you liked it, and I hope to see you guys next time.